Seven.
Where's the nut button?
It's in a box somewhere. I don't know. I just moved.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dungeon of the Mad Mage. This is session 83.
7.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're just gonna jump right in with a little bit of a recap. So,
7.
previously, in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the party, having defeated Clan Iron Eye and taken for themselves control over the heart of the mountain, decided to rest before attempting to make the journey topside. Their intent was to abstain from utilizing the portals until they gained further insight into how to avoid the shadow beneath the mountain. This meant they would have to travel up through the unexplored 5th level of the dungeon and somehow find their way back to the 4th. After resting, the party made to leave the nave of the heart of the mountain, but as they approached, or as they opened the massive double doors, they were greeted by a large skeletal monstrosity, bleach white with jagged bone spurs, immense gossamer wings, and a terrifying scorpion tail. The figure stated, "Varashtu sends his regards," and attacked. It was joined in battle by a fellow greenish creature covered in spines and a red man covered in chains. The battle was fierce, with Bones, Ashes, and Matashtai all taking serious wounds. Throughout the fight, the party began to surmise that these devils were the same ones that had been trapped in Malair's tomb. That Skella had freed them, and then made some sort of deal with Varashtu. As the battle began to turn against the devils, Kirava, the Bone Devil, made a concerted effort to kill Matashtai specifically, but after a desperate struggle, was defeated. Concerned, worried, the party headed to Malair's tomb to confirm their suspicions, and there they found each of the statues had been smashed, presumably releasing that which was contained within. There was no sign of Skella or Varashtu. Feeling the weight of what they had done, the party headed back north, intent on following through with their original plan. A long journey through dark and winding tunnels carved by the Umber Hulks awaited them, but eventually the tunnel began to halt its incline. A thick fog materialized. The party stepped out from the tunnel and found themselves in a strange place. A primordial forest choked with fog, where a sky filled with stars and a moon. The sounds and signs of forest life were all around them. The party was unsure of what to make of this place. Matashtai and Bones climbed a nearby tree to have a look around. They saw an imposing stone tree to the northwest, and some sort of unlit settlement to the southeast. Meanwhile, Ezrah set about discerning what magics were about this place. His investigation revealed that most of this forest, this floor, was inundated with magic. Matashtai, seeking to aid Ezrah in his revelations, cut free the bark of one of the nearby trees, trying to allow Ezrah the opportunity to analyze the different parts and pieces of the forest solo. The reaction was swift. Dark red eyes glowed like coals amidst the trees. Screeches and heavy wings beat the air. The very forest floor began to shift and roil. An imperious shout rang out, accusing the party of defiling the forest. An elven woman riding atop a 6-legged, ever-shifting panther appeared. And that is where we rejoin our party. So, you all should be on the correct map. And we're in a little bit of a moment here. So, bear with me. I adjust a couple of different things. So we're gonna do this. This is the woman that that you see before you. Oh, right.
Quinthal Baneray, we meet again.
Oh god.
Oh my.
Oh,
Better roll up new characters now.
The Displacer Beast
Slowly behind her.
that shoots disintegration rays.
There.
this
the
is
Displacer Beast is the chair.
this is the woman that you see before you.
She does not appear to be on top of the beast in that.
I
Okay.
feel like she's walking near it.
Shut your fucking faces. How
Oh,
about that? How about that?
Have we
So
fought Displacer Beasts in this campaign?
in this campaign,
I don't think
We
so.
did.
No, we did. We
The
did.
other
Or
one.
we did in
Dragon
the
Heist.
previous
Dragon
like,
Heist, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So Ezra has seen one. Definitely.
I was there.
Was that a Bones venture? Was Bones alive at that
It
point?
was at the very end.
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
It was
All
in
right,
somebody's house.
So, in this
Somebody
moment,
with
right, the
the
forest
blood.
seems to come alive around you, right? You hear this imperious shout, the thick fog choking your vision. You see riding out of the darkness on this immense black panther, black six-legged panther, this elven woman, pale-skinned, right, like pale bluish skin, dark long hair, growths of like twigs and branches and things like that all about her person. She is riding high on the panther. The great cat like comes to a sliding halt as it comes out of the darkness, and she jumps off over the haunches of the panther, and as she does, her hand goes up, and you see this little blossom of light, this little ray up into the darkness, and there's just this luminescent glow, this slight pillar of light, right? And she lands and does not miss a beat. In landing, she doesn't superhero land or anything like that. She lands into a walk, coming straight at all of you. As she does, she reaches down, draws out this blade at her side, and you can see it's stone, right? It's not a metal blade. It's some sort of stone that's been like napped into a short sword design,
I respect
and it
that.
glows faintly, right? This woman has a supreme air of confidence about her, about a power about her, right? She does not show fear towards you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and she seems to be striding purposefully towards Matashtai. You do anything?
Quick question.
I dropped the bark.
As she's doing this, as she has become within line of sight, and you've
Yep.
kind of explained how she appears, do I get the impression that she's a wood elf?
Do you have experience with wood elves in the past, right? Semi sort of, right? So in Faerun, wood elves or high elves are kind of like a weird mix, and she definitely seems to be a more natural oriented elf, and she seems to be of probably moon elf descent, right?
Okay.
With the nature of her skin tone and everything about her personages. She, by the way, you still have detect magic up.
Yep.
This woman is... You have difficulty seeing her, Ezra, through the aura of magic that is radiating off of her.
As she starts...
She is potentially one of the most magical creatures that you have ever seen in existence.
Noted.
Damn, same.
As she starts marching forward, Ezra would rush forward and try and remove the bark from Tombakiri. Is that what?
So
Yeah, like that's
Matashtai
over
is
there,
like
trying to
pulling
shake
it
it
off.
off.
Ezra's like running over, like pull it, like get it off, right?
Is she literally just like walking by
She
me?
just walking. She doesn't even look at you. She has like eyes glaring piercingly at Matashtai, and just stomping towards him,
like
blade
just
in
like,
hand.
Yep.
Nope, right past you.
All right.
And this is brief moments to react. So unless nothing else happens, she covers the ground in between the two of you in a few heartbeats, reaches out and grabs hold of your wrist hard.
Okay, cool.
And then she
Who
looks you
is
dead
you?
in the eyes,
Ah.
takes the blade, and she rakes it up your arm, shearing off a portion of your robe and cutting into, like, shaving your arm. And it's not gentle. She, like, cuts up the side of the flesh.
Why are we
How do
okay
you
with
like
this?
You take 4 slashing damage as she basically, like, very roughly razor blades your arm.
Being assaulted because I assaulted a tree.
And she looks at you, right? And she like, there's blood and hair kind of like slick across this blade, and like a little bit of your cloak kind of like in tatters, hanging off of it. And she looks at you and she just flicks it onto the ground. And she says in this very imperious tone, she says, "The pain you feel is the pain they feel." And then she turns and looks at Ezrah. She releases Matashtai's hand, and she reaches out and grabs at your wrist, Ezrah.
I let it happen.
She does the exact same thing to you. And as she does, she says, "Any who would stand by and watch are just as guilty of the crime." And it's incredibly painful, and she does it in a way to cause it to be painful. And then she just, like, throws your hand to the side, flicks the sword down, your blood splatters across the roots, right? And she turns to Bones and approaches.
Nah, I'm good. Thank you, though.
She walks right up to you and snatches at your wrist.
Nah, I'm good. Thank you, though. No.
Roll a
Come on,
dexterity
let's
saving throw.
do it. Okay. I didn't do anything. That's what I said. I didn't do anything.
Right, Bones, you were able to kind of like deftly pull away and
Maybe
create
use
a
your
little bit of
words. That's what I
space.
said. Use
And
your words.
she holds out the blade to you, and she says, "I already said, any of you who would stand aside and allow the crime to happen are just as guilty. You can pay for your crime, or you can..." Basically, she says you can water the fucking roots.
I can water the roots. All right, I
Your
dumped my
blood
water skin
will.
out.
No, you live here now. You're a gardener.
No, I dumped my water skin out.
That's a
You
little
use
bit
your
of a
words.
roll.
We didn't. I said use your words. We didn't know. We're new here.
She, you see her jawline set, and her nostrils flare. It seems clear that she is not used to having her words challenged in this manner, and everything about her seems to tense for a moment, and she says, "You have done violence to this forest, and you will pay for it. Or I will kill you." And at that point, you hear this and there's a loud roar that cuts through the air.
Quinthal Bainray.
Man,
And
I
you
feel bad
see-
for all the woodpeckers down here.
You see this immense green winged shape come flying into view from the east, and it crashes to a landing just outside of the forest's edge to the west, and comes into view. You see a green dragon, and it lands and it raises up this long neck and stares down at everything. And it's a beautiful creature, small, young for a dragon, perhaps, but still incredibly formidable. But what is striking about it is you see there is a sword plunged into its skull,
Unicorn
all the
dragon.
way to the hilts. And the hilt is this glowing green emerald handle. And this dragon just very calmly
A unidragon.
says, "I have come as you have called, Willow. Do we fight?" And Willow, the elf, looks at you, Bones.
Is it worth it?
I don't want to cause more problems. I cut my arm, but not my hand.
So you take out, you reach for your own blade and pull it and slash your arm?
Sure.
She holds, still holding the blade out at you for a moment. And then turns on her heel and walks towards Ashes and goes to grab at your wrist as well.
I'm
Ashes.
already holding out my arm.
She
before
just takes
walks
the
up.
blade and slides it across your arm.
I lock eyes with her. Don't break it. Don't make a sound.
Bones, you take 3 from your cut. Ashes, you take 4 from hers. And after that happens, right?
Maybe cutting a lot of people. People just no posted rules.
As that happens, right? She once again flicks the blood off of this stone blade, and you see every time she flicks her wrist like that, the blade is spotless afterwards. And she sheaths this archaic-looking short sword. Sighs for a moment, and then kind of turns, steps back to where she can kind of see all of you at once.
Here, I'll
Framed by the wood itself. And she says, "I am Willow. This is my forest. Greetings." And she looks at Bones and she says, "Do not harm anything within the forest, lest it be in self-defense. Do not mar the forest. It is a thing of beauty. It feels and bleeds as you do."
Ezra kind of steps forward, bows. Greetings, warden of this noble forest. Did you create it?
She kind of looks back and she says, "Not responsible for its creation, though I was the reason for its creation. And I am its guardian."
Well, I humbly apologize for the error of me and my compatriots. We have been through a lot in this Undermountain, and the eminence of its magic worried us as we have fallen to several traps of magical means. We meant no offense, and we have taken your words to heart.
She kind of she tilts her chin up and she kind of narrows her eyes at you and she says, "You are right to be wary of the magic in this place, in the Undermountain. But your actions are callous. If you harm everything that you come across because of your own fears, and you will find very little to comfort you down here.
Understood.
So, just for curiosity's sake, is it these woods in particular that feel this greatly, or is it all flora across the world?
She looks at you and she says...
I start hopping around if there's like grass under my feet.
She looks at you and she says, "Do not be fools. The cycle of life exists as it has always. But be mindful that just because something that lives does not move or cry out in pain does not mean that it does not feel it. You tread upon the grass."
Check.
Right, like she says, you tread upon the grass, and it is a thing that the grass understands. But if you shoot an arrow into the heart of a tree, what can it know but betrayal? So there's this moment, right, where it feels like tension is releasing, right? A crime has been committed in Willow's eyes, and a crime has been punished in Willow's eyes, and the threat, right, has been levied, and there is a moment. You continue to hear that kind of like those beating wings in the kind of like the shadows around the forest and above you, right? The panther sits back on its haunches. And the glowing eyes in the forest, they're still there, but they're less menacing. The green dragon, kind of like, tilts its head, and it looks southeast for a moment. And then it looks back at Willow, and it says, "Are we done here?" And Willow looks at all of you, and kind of nods over to it, and she says, "Yes, Tiruli, I think so." Or sorry, Tiruli. I will call you if I have need of you. And the dragon inclines its head, again, that kind of like sword to hilt in its skull, set between its eyes, right? It kind of just bows towards Willow. And then it beats its heavy wings. You're suddenly buffeted with air, and it rises up, and then turns and disappears back to the east.
Might I ask, Willow, this floor in my studies was referred to as the Willow Wood, which I assume is aptly named due to you and the protection over your magical forest. Does the entire floor encompass this entity, or is it a portion?
So Willow says, "The majority of this floor is indeed, as you have said, the Willow Wood. There are portions where the wood does not extend. The River of the Deeps runs through this place, careening as it does ever downwards. But for the most part, the Willow Wood, call it, dominates this place." She kind of like pauses for a moment, and she says, "I would be remiss if I did not invite you. We're now guests of this place, and I'm sure you will do as you have been told." And she kind of turns and she just crooks her fingers, walks over to the panther, and she doesn't get back on the panther. She just like glides a hand along its shoulders, and she begins to walk to the north West.
Ezra follows.
So this is completely off topic, but there was an
shouldn't cut me.
old point-and-click adventure called Torrance Passage, and one of the last worlds in the game was one that where plants could feel, and you landed in a shrubbery by accident and were arrested. Great game. Love that fucking game, but it's just kind of
Okay, so as you all and I'll just kind of like group move you. As you all are moving, following behind
guess we're going.
Willow. I mean, unless you want to go elsewhere.
No, I'm going. Whatever.
As we walk,
It just seems weird. She
Matt will
show up
say-
all mad, and we're just like, we're good to go.
as we walk, Matt will say, again, sorry about the misunderstanding.
I've
Fine,
grown
thank you.
accustomed to it with your kind.
Um,
There are
why-
signs posted. Unfortunately, you have ventured forth from not a usual direction.
Yeah, we're doing things a little backwards, apparently. Which brings me to my next question. Do you know the way up to the floor above from here?
So as you're walking, she keeps you at the edge of the forest. She'll get to your question. I'm just describing the things that you're seeing as you go. As you're walking, you come across this western section that has rows of kind of like long alcoves carved into them. They don't seem natural. And you can hear more heavily the kind of like beating of wings, right? But there's a moment as Willow kind of like looks up, and you can see just faintly in the air above you large bat-like shapes, and they wheel and fly northward, a little bit ahead of you, basically, back towards that stone tree. And she says, somewhat, yes. The river runs through this level. The way back up is up the river, though I would not imagine you will have a fair time of it. There are many waterfalls and rapids just before arriving at the wood.
Good to know.
And is that the only way down here?
She says, there is always more than one way within the Undermountain. That is the only natural egress that I am aware of.
No, thank you.
Okay. As you get closer to the large stone tree, you come past this last alcove, and you see it is filled with rusted, torn, battered, beaten, broken, bloodied gear. Weapons, armor. There are dozens and dozens of people's worth of gear that seems to have been stripped off of the dead and shoved into this alcove as like some sort of odd storage space or grave marker or something.
both.
Both.
Both is good.
Willow moves forward, and you can see now, I think. Yeah, so you guys have a better vision range now. Of pull this up. Looming before you, you see a squat stone tree with twisted stony boughs protruding from it. It takes you a moment to realize, you guys have already kind of realized this, that it is not, in fact, a tree, but a stone building carved to resemble a tree. You can see high above the boughs of the tree tower, kind of like hanging, roosted in its boughs, are large bat-like shapes. Grotesques that are kind of standing silent vigil. And on the south side of the tower, where Willow and the Panther have walked to, there is a set of massive double doors carved over as if a weird patch of bark. There's a long hanging vine going around it and then kind of like hanging down next. And Willow kind of like, she comes to the door and she turns and this is my home. There are guests here. Do not make me regret that. I promise you, I will not regret it for long.
Right, I don't believe we intend to overstay our welcome.
And then she turns and, like, she flicks her wrist towards the Panther, and the Panther basically, like, headbutts the door and pushes it open. Right?
Then it just would have teleported inside, leaving the door closed.
Okay, let me see if I can do this easily, as I've got to pull you into a different area.
Oh, is this one of those where the map's segregated into...
Yes, it is.
Oh, of course it is. All right, zooming out.
Zooming in.
Oh, it's a different map entirely.
Enhance.
Oh no, we're still on the same one.
I haven't
It like flashed like we moved, and I'm like, wait a second.
been successful yet.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
So...
So does it.
Oh,
At the very bottom.
all the way at the very bottom. So this door opens. Pulling you all over. Stuff. Okay, so the door opens, and there is a very slight hall that curves back to the east, and then there's a secondary door. It's very oddly designed. But Willow opens that one as well, and then steps into a large chamber. She doesn't really wait on you. She just kind of like steps in, anticipating that you are going to follow her. And in here, you begin to see quite a bit more. So, as you step in, you see dead leaves and twigs cover the dusty floor here. You find yourself in a large throne room with a 20-foot-high vaulted ceiling. Stone pillars carved to resemble trees support a 10-foot-high balcony that runs along the north, east, and south of the walls.
And an alabaster throne?
The trees, it does not look to be alabaster. The trees' stone branches serve as railings for the balcony. In an alcove on the west side of the room is a small dais, and upon it a throne of yellow crystal. Now seated upon that throne is Willow. Light blue skin, eyes as if emeralds, and hair of raven black. Now that she's sitting here, you can see brief flashes about her occasionally of vivid colors, almost kind of like this aura manifesting. And you see butterflies begin to kind of like flit in from around and rest on her. Their tiny wings flitting and then just crawling up. You begin to see, as she stands here, lizards begin to kind of climb out from the foliage and the leaves underneath, and there's just this intense, like, Cinderella feeling, right, going on here. And it's kind of like, relatively amusingly, as you all kind of like filter into this hall, there is a great tree in the center of the hall. And as you kind of like step in, it shakes. Its tree, its limbs, it kind of like shivers, and you hear this booming voice that says, "Willow, do we have visitors?" And Willow kind of like sighs in her yellow crystal throne and nods towards all of you, and she says, "Visitors, I introduce you to Halaster, my companion."
Halaster?
I'm sorry. What? Hold on.
You can see set into the kind of like the heartwood of this of this tree is this very kind of like it's abstract, but like as she says that name, you're kind of like, wait a second, and you can see this kind of like odd set of gnarled bumps that kind of look like a wizened old man's face, right? And
did she date Halaster at one point, and he made this whole level for her?
This big booming voice goes, "Welcome, welcome. It is good to make all of your acquaintances."
Hello, Halaster.
Hello,
Greetings.
small folk.
Well met.
The tree kind of like shivers, right? And you hear this kind of like grinding creak as it seems like it's slightly turning, but it doesn't move a whole lot, right? And it says, "Willow, they are reluctant to give names." She just kind of shrugs and sighs.
Actually, yeah, sorry. My name is Ashes.
Ezra.
I'm Matt.
Bones.
And your companion.
Oh, that's moss-covered stream. Or what the fuck is
Covered
that?
rock in the stream.
Moss-covered rock near stream. My bad. Sorry, I haven't said it in English in a while. Or common in a while.
Yeah.
The tree, right? You hear this kind of groan, and the whole thing again. Its limbs shake almost as if it's nodding, right? And it says, "Yes, yes. I am Halaster. You have met Willow, and presumably Krishnan." And you see the panther just kind of like look up very quickly, like look around, and then kind of like again, it's doing the laying, like the, panther laying in front of the throne like a cat, basically.
No. Oh, yeah. We've met technically. Halaster. That's a interesting name. How did you acquire it?
My creator has a sense of humor, or so I am told. I find him rather dry, in truth.
I believe I can make some assumptions at this point.
Do you happen to correspond with your creator frequently?
I do not. It is a rare occasion when he... And there's this long pause. Graces our home. And you can see, like, Willow's up there doing the kind of, like, slumped, like, hand on her chin thing, just, like, watching the proceedings. And she says, yes, he is not present frequently. Probably because we can't stand one another.
What is he? Are you just this tree? Are you like an elder tree spirit?
There's a slight pause, right? And Halaster responds with, "I believe the phrase is awakened."
Oh, you're an awakened tree. Oh.
Did Halaster create the whole Willowwood?
Shit.
There's a moment, right? Halaster,
Shit.
there's a brief pause, and then Halaster says, "Why yet?" And then you hear Willow, and Halaster kind of like pauses and says,
Perhaps.
"That's not my story to tell."
Right.
And there's this moment, right, where the limbs kind of shake, and again there's that creak as the face in the tree kind of like turns towards Willow, right? And Halaster says, "It has been a long time since we had guests." And you see this like this look of just like she's being so put upon right now.
All right, so it looks like he's trying to change the subject, so I'll help. Actually, I'm kind of curious just how long ago the last time you had a guest was. One of the reasons I'm at least here is I'm looking for someone. Human, tall, white hair, and I'll pull out my my Star Saloon, probably wearing one of these.
She looks at you, right? And she says, "The old tree exaggerates. We get guests rather frequently. Tell me, this person you're seeking smell like you?"
Oof.
Yeah.
Dang, he say you stank.
I'm not gonna lie, I probably do stank a little bit.
She says, "Yes, we met. Stayed here briefly. Dark brooding man. Air of trouble hanging about him." Who was he to you?
He's like a father to me. I heard some troubling news and would like to see if I can't track him down.
Nods and she says, "He seemed to have business with Mobar, the werebats. Though, in truth, I think he was less interested in them and more interested in the ruins. An old settlement, cultists of Malar. Still, one and the same at this point." Halaster kind of like shivers and says, "Yes, ever since you..." And again, Willow just kind of like clears her throat, right?
What was the name of the werebat?
Mobar.
Mobar.
Does the term Malar ring any bells? Cultists of Malar?
Yeah, that probably rings a bell to all of you except for Matashtai. And maybe Matashtai might have even picked up a comment here or there in his time on Faerun. Definitely a thing for Ashes. More than definitely probably a thing for Ezrah. Bones has only been on this world for a handful of years, I think, right? So he might have an excuse not to know. Malar is a god. Is a god of a lot of things, but primarily a god of the hunts, a god of beasts, and quite specifically, he's who the vast majority of of more evilly inclined lycanthropes.
I'm assuming Malar and Shar probably get along pretty well.
I'm pretty sure they've worked hand in hand before.
That tracks.
Malar has been like throughout the histories of Faerun has been a present figure, but he has recently rose to prominence. I think he's actually considered to be a major god at this point.
The whole Malar and Malar is like messing me up now.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. It's Malar. Malar or Malar or something.
Malar. I'm calling him
Malar. He's Malar.
Malar.
Wah.
Okay. So, so he's most likely headed toward this temple.
Some ruins you mentioned?
Yeah, some ruins.
Well, she says, most likely he's dead or gone. She says, he was here several days ago. It's been some time. And the ruins, the settlements are 10 minutes down the road, not far from where we just were, actually.
Is that the stuff to the southeast?
She says, she nods. That would be it.
I look back to Ashes and say, at least a trail to follow.
Right. We'll say he's very resourceful. He can survive on his own for quite some time. If he finishes business, he probably went up top.
By any chance, do you happen to be aware of how he got here?
To my understanding, he took a raft downriver. It didn't go very well. I don't think his raft survived, but he did. Washed ashore to the northeast, along the edge of the wood itself. Eventually, by conversing with some of the beasts before doing anything else stupid, he made his way here.
Feels like a cut at us.
It absolutely, she pointedly looks at you and says it as a cut.
I mean, I'm not hiding. That is what I say. I say it feels like a cut at us.
Shrugs.
You should post signs at both
Halaster
sides.
kind of like says, perhaps our guests would enjoy some refreshments, and you see some tree limbs kind of like going up into the balconies around you, like above
Well, we
you.
kind of just woke up, but I mean, yeah, it's fine.
I mean, you don't like beverages when you wake up?
I figured we ate something. I had some shrooms. I've been eating on the shrooms for days now.
Shrooms. Day shrooms. Night shrooms. All shrooms.
You know, shrooms have feelings, right?
Yeah, I'm good and tripping now, boy. So what are the rules here? If something attacks us, like, I like to use everything I kill. Am I allowed to skin it and take its bones?
She looks at you and she says, the creatures of the forest here understand the balance that they live within. Nothing will hunt you, and if it does, you are free to defend yourself.
And then also skin it and take its bones.
She nods at you and she says, I would prefer usage over wanton slaughter.
Same. I give her the finger gun.
She kind of like says though, like she kind of tries to reiterate, anything that should attack you here, well, it's unlikely. And if it does happen, then it's not a part of my forest. At least not a part of the forest that I care about. There are creatures here that we suffer when we must.
We suffer when we. What does that mean?
Basically, like she says, like pests, right?
Oh,
like
I understand. Okay.
like she says, like there are parts of the natural cycle, right, that even she is not a fan of, that even she detests, right? But and some of those creatures might try to attack you. But again, right, she basically, her concern seems to be more for wanton slaughter or callous destruction of nature. Like walking up to a tree and cutting the side of it.
To be clear, just to help some of my less naturally attuned allies, if we are being aggressed upon but have not taken a first blow, intent made clear by one of these fell entities, we are allowed to defend ourselves preemptively.
The eyes of the forest are upon you always while you are here. I will know what your intent is. So, if you are concerned, you need not be if you are true.
Thank you.
She reiterates, if you are true.
Yeah, Ezra.
These ruins, are they inhabited by anything outside of this this bat fellow?
She kind of smiles when she says, bats. Mobar's tribe is fast.
Oh, joy.
Same.
Has Mobar's tribe been a problem?
We have an agreement, an understanding. There is a certain sense of nature about the cycle of life, the hunt. Mobar and his people are generally careful not to take more than they need. And that is acceptable. However, sometimes they overstep their bounds.
Okay, and how did you say we get back up again?
The river.
Yeah, you said there were rapids and stuff. Waterfalls?
It would be a challenge, I would assume.
You mentioned that's the only natural way you know of. Do you know of any unnatural means?
She kind of like sits back in her crystal throne and she says, yes, there are ways throughout mountain, if the mountain allows you to utilize them. Portals.
You mean there are portals here. Gotcha.
Oh, now you're okay with taking the portals.
I mean, I'm acknowledging that I know what they are.
Speaking of, we've tried using them, and there have been some pretty adverse effects from doing so.
Perverse darkness corrupts the shadow, the heart of the mountain. She pauses and she kind of like sighs, and Halaster, you hear it kind of croak and groan as it kind of shifts, and it says, my creator has been here a long time. Darkness, great twisting of his solitude. It has taken quite some time, but slowly it changes the mountain.
Right, so I'm going to take that as a no. There's no definitive way to that you know of to not be touched by the shadow.
Willow kind of, she replies and she says, no definitive way? No, I would not say that. There are ways to improve one's chances against the shadow beneath the mountain. Ways to distract it, or to pull from within it the original power of its creation. You must understand the shadow is not in and of itself a thing of evil. Have you encountered it before? It seems as if you have.
That has not been our experience. Yes, yeah, a lot.
So you have had times, moments then, where you have been cursed by the shadow.
Slow turn to Matt.
Yeah, we all look at Matt right in his face.
And she pauses and then she says, then I would presume, unless you have just been incredibly unlucky, you have also found times when you have been blessed by the shadow.
Once, but it was due to some divine intervention of some sort.
Yes, that tends to be the right of things. As I said, the shadow itself is not necessarily evil. It is a wild, chaotic thing. A thing driven from madness.
Same.
Its touch could bless or curse you. But given the right guidance, the right protection, you can twist fate to your benefit. Change chance to a certainty. Most frequently through powerful expenditures of will or magic or luck. Basically the concept of an inspiration.
Right.
And then she continues, but with the right patronage, one might find themselves at less risk. Not immune, but shielded, guarded against the worst that the shadow might have to offer.
So
such a blessing, though.
It's basically rolling on a wild magic table anytime we go through.
She says, such a blessing, though, would be... Well, I would assume you'd either have to have an incredibly powerful patron or the favor of a god.
My patron. Yes. Jeremy Rosoloa. The greatest patron of all.
Maybe Jay's patron, but not Ash's patron.
Definitely not.
Basically, like, from a mechanical standpoint, the way she's saying it is you...
Divinity or inspiration?
Yeah, you well, I mean, not just that, right? Like, the blessing of the divine or the blessing of an incredibly powerful being, right, could help shield you.
Gotcha.
And again, though, as she says that's not a the blessing of the divine will make you immune. It's the blessing of the divine will help shield you.
By any chance, are you able to grant that kind of blessing?
And she says, I could extend that blessing somewhat. Might not be as powerful as others, but I could definitely extend it to the usage upon this floor. But I will not. I have no reason to extend you that blessing.
What can we
That's
do?
fair. Well, I don't think there's any need for us to keep any more of your time. I think we got to get to finding Ash's friend, Dad.
She looks at you and she says, you are free to go whenever you wish. You're also free to remain, should you choose. I am a strict warden, but just, fair. You have my hospitality, so long as you do not destroy that.
Don't
She
you
says,
the hospitality.
Appreciate it.
you seem a capable sort. Should you seek employments or to curry favor, I'm not opposed to the idea. There are some interlopers within the woods that have been making a nuisance of themselves lately.
You beat me by one sentence.
I love a good hunt.
They flee my presence. But perhaps you could deal with them. And the way she says it, right, gives this insinuation of maybe they won't run away from you. Right? Like, they whatever
Maybe
it
they'll
is,
try to fight us.
whatever it is runs away from her, but whatever it is might not run away from you. Right? Is kind of the way that she says it.
Sure, lay it on us. What do you need?
She says, simple. There's a mountain post, old ruin, to the north of this tower, through the forest. There are creatures there. Wouldn't use a typical name for them. She would call them something along the lines of like the lightless moaners, right? They are fell creatures, sirens of the dark, lure other beasts into their clutches. Unnatural.
Which direction are they again?
To the north. What boy? Tap taps. Taps.
Well, it didn't look like taps.
No, they were called the light moaners. What was?
I just call them the Willowwood Moaners.
Oh yeah.
Anybody who has history or nature can roll me a history or a nature check.
I have both. May I have advantage?
No, you may not have advantage, but you can pick whichever one you have the highest in.
I prefer advantage.
That's too bad. Okay.
The boy
Bones.
has both.
It kind of slips you, but Ezra, you think for a very brief moment, and you're like, you recall, I think you've only like heard it once or twice in your time with them. But the cloakers have this moaning call that can basically mess with creatures' minds.
Like all the cloakers we just fought?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about? We're talking about the same cloakers.
Ezra has reason to believe this, yes.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Well, they were easy enough to kill.
I mean, you guys did just do the 6th floor, and this is the 5th floor, so, you know.
Yeah, I think we can do something about that for you.
She says, it is not an alarming or pressing concern. It will be dealt with in time, but should you expedite the scenario, then I will reward you. And when she says it kind of like that's a weird thing to say. She says, I will reward you. And you will have my favor. She kind of like says that in kind of like a grimace.
Why's she saying ominously like
She's
that?
like, because she seems very awkward in this moment about this subject.
She doesn't like friends. She doesn't want friends.
Like, she doesn't have a lot of friends.
No friend with me.
Or
All
that.
right, we'll keep an eye out for him.
She says, should you choose to venture into Mobar's territory, I would advise caution. The werebats are territorial, and though not the strongest opposition, quite numerous. Also, you, Ashes, I'd be wary of your search. They said a dark pall hung above your friend. I do not think his search a good one. At least not in what he finds. The cult of Malar is well. Halaster kind of like she kind of pauses and she gets almost like far off vision, right? Like she's remembering something. And yeah, Halaster kind of like interrupts with its booming, freaking voice, and it says, "They're a bad bunch. Sacrifices, not good stuff. Dark. That's why they're not here anymore."
Right.
And Willow kind of like comes out of her daze and just kind of nods, inclines her head toward Halaster. Yes, that is accurate.
I appreciate the warning. But yeah. I'm gonna see I'm gonna go see what I can find. Oh, dear boy.
Okay. And it's at that point, right, like Willow, as she has said, right, you are guests, you're free to stick around. She seems Halaster seems relatively glib. Willow, although reluctant and kind of like exasperated in attitude, she still seems willing to answer the majority of your inquiries and discuss things with you. She just seems tight-lipped about a few particular things. But other than that, basically, she's just, you know, you're free to go when you want to go. Otherwise, hang out.
Well, we'd best get to it then.
Okay.
So long, farewell.
You guys just leave?
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, so
We head out.
Where's the cloakers we're supposed to kill?
To the north.
to the north.
North. Okay. All right. So bad people then.
Yeah, let's go
Ashes,
do
is
bad
this-
people stuff first.
Is this something that we should be sticking around to do? Otherwise, Bones has been expressing concern for the Aboleth.
Yeah, we got an aboleth powering up, bro. Super Saiyan.
We also had a what was it? A Kuatoa god powering up as well.
Well, we don't know that that's been born yet.
I have far more interest in helping Ash's friend dad over fighting an aboleth right now.
Stop that.
I didn't ask the question.
So
I didn't answer you specifically.
A 10-minute walk, honestly, so it should be fairly close by.
I mean, that's to get into their territory.
Oh,
And who knows what's going to happen then, based off of Warden Willow's feelings towards this tribe. Do you think Borden stood a chance against?
I do. Honestly, I'm not as concerned about this cult or whatever as I am Artur.
But he was down here, at the very least.
Right.
So he wasn't impeded.
Well, I guess into the woods.
Into the woods.
I don't know that we gotta go into the woods yet. It's like skirt around.
I mean, I think we're gonna have to go in at some point.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but should we do it when we don't need to? Considering I just got cut for poking bark.
So you guys begin to skirt south around the edge of the woods.
What happens when you step on a fern, huh?
Skirt!
She takes your leg?
In Torrance Passage, you are tried and jailed.
Yeah, I'd like to avoid that.
Eventually released on probation. Given that you don't ever harm another plant again. Else be cast into the center of the earth.
Yes,
Jeremy, at this point, have we
into
reached
the core.
The what?
At this point, have we reached dawn?
Ew.
Dawn of the new day.
No. Okay. Continuing on southward, you guys come back to where you had originally encountered Willow, and the curve of the forest continues east and then southward, and you can just see, yeah, that's some weird stuff, ignore it. You can just see kind of like off in the long gloom, far to the southeast, there's kind of like the area begins to kind of like open up.
As we walk forward, Ezra casts Mage Armor on himself, using a first level spell because he has no House Narketa charges.
Oh shit. So the entirety of this walk along the edge of the forest, you have this feeling, right, of like the forest watching you. The sounds of the forest, the chirping of insects, and the movement of small woodland creatures through the underbrush, the growth, that continues, but you just have this kind of like overwhelming feeling, right, of being watched. Oh boy!
Tap that fool.
Stop
Tap.
that! All right, and eventually, you can see way before this, right? The fog kind of chokes your vision, your clear vision, but you can see off in the distance the buildings, kind of the shadowy buildings looming. And it's now that you guys actually approach, you can see the first of one of these stone buildings in this complex. There's this great space.
Things that are just outside my light.
Yep, just outside. So as you guys come upon this, what do you do? Are you just marching boldly in? Are you guys trying to sneak about? Are you declaring loudly? You know, what's going on here?
I kind of nudge Ashes and I say, I don't know, where culture.
Where culture?
Yeah, culture of the waves.
This isn't. Like...
These are the werebats.
This is the werebats.
Yeah, so the cultists of Malar used to live here. They don't anymore because of something. You weren't given direct answers. But now this is where Mobar and the werebats live.
Okay, all right. Well, then I'm going to walk up to the door quietly.
Okay.
And
so this building, this is an old stone building, and it's covered in vines. You can see the tree line. The tree line on the map is very like clear, cut and dry, right? But in your world, in the actual game, right, it's not like that. The trees are basically right up to the edge of the walls, and it's like roots are kind of climbing up their vines all over this northern side, right? Slowly crushing and strangling stone. The forest is trying to reclaim this one.
All right. I kind of put hand on my pendant. Do I feel anything reacting?
What's the range on your pendant?
I think it's like 30 feet.
No, you do not.
Okay. Well, I guess I guess we knock. I don't know. Fuck it. Knock, knock, knock.
There's this little kind of like rattles on this, thick wooden door. Brief moment passes. Response.
Jiggle knob. Or is it just like a latch? Or...
It's like it's not a knob, but it's a handle that turns. Right?
Let's give it a...
Okay, there's a soft click. Seems to open, seems unlocked.
Coming in.
Okay. Nice.
Werebat orgy.
So one other thing, Matashtai, from where you're standing, I feel like it's more difficult. Ashes can't really see this, and the others are a little too far back. But you can see down the southern edge of this building. You can see the wall runs southeast, right? Propped up against the edge of this building are broken swords, dented helms, torn metal armor. Most of it is long rusted or pitted or just destroyed. But it's like someone came in, and whatever happened to the people wearing it, right afterwards, it seems like it was all just like shoved up against the side of the building. So Ashes pulls the door open and sees inside of a chamber okay, so you see just a little bit of a ways into this room. It's fairly big, and the fog permeates this room as well. It still continues to kind of like choke off your vision. It has not dissipated the building does not seem to keep it out. So you can just kind of barely see into the room itself.
While Ashes is exploring the building there, I'm gonna kind of look around where these weapons are. See signs of like a battle,
Okay.
or is it just like stuff was propped here?
So as you take a look at the gear, right, it looks like there are rents, there are tears in the armor, right? It definitely looks like they were blows, potentially killing blows to whoever were wearing these various pieces of gear. But whatever it was long ago.
Oh, okay.
As you kind of do come a little closer, though, you can see there are further buildings to the south, and you can kind of get a sense, again, your vision, your immediate vision, your clear vision is kind of choked by the fog, but you can kind of like see out and kind of sense the vastness of the space. This complex to the south is huge. There are potentially half a dozen or more of these buildings that continue on to the south in this great ring of this cavern. And the cavern, again, is immense. You still see stars and a moon hanging in the sky above you, right? But you can also see there are caves here to the southwest. What is everyone else doing? Ashes, what are you doing? Ezra, Bones, what's going on?
I'll step in. I'll be like, whoop.
Okay. Ashes begins to investigate the
I'll move in
building.
with him now.
Oh, all right.
And as the two
Oh,
move
my.
in, so those two move in. Ezra and Bones, what are you two doing? Just kind of like break
I
up
was
the rear?
just trying to keep a central position between
Gotcha.
everybody.
I guess I'm just with everyone. I was gonna say, I don't know. Is it like one story? Is it 2-story?
So it's it does seem to be a 1-story building. It's kind of a stone. It's a tall 1-story building. It looks like a priory, right? It's designed as if it's a religious building of some sort.
Okay.
Right? It's kind of got this old stone like abbey or church vibe going on for it. And
Alright, well.
as Ashes and Matashtai step into the room, they see a number of different things. So let's get to that. So this old stone lobby is wrecked. Overturned and broken shelves and tables lie on the floor, along with piles of old rugs and bleached humanoid skulls. A few odd tilting placards are upon the walls, but they're all like empty. There is looming in the south corner of the room an owl bear, but it's frozen mid-charge, and it takes you by surprise initially, and then in the moment afterwards you realize it's not moving. It seems to be a large stuffed owl bear here.
Oh, taxidermy.
And it's in this pose of like this charging, like horrible, furious visage. There is a very strange. Well, I say it's not. It's unique in its design. There's a glass bulb off of, like, hanging off of the northern wall. And at first you're like, what is that? And then you're like, wait. And this is relatively rare, but they do exist in Waterdeep. It looks like, as they would say, a light bulb.
All right, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they exist in Waterdeep, but they are relatively rare. But it looks like it's a lamp on the no. So,
do you guys see this sliver right here?
Yeah, it's the door. because
okay.
so the door is angled. So when I move, normally I just move the doors into the walls, but this one is not possible. Here, I'll toss it over here.
So I saw that, and I thought it was a cat hair on my monitor at first, and then I wiped it away, and then I thought it was a crack in my screen.
Nice. I love trolling you. It's fantastic. So you also see, while you're in here, you see doorways to the southeast and to the northeast. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So it seems like this big open lobby that's just been wrecked. And there's an owlbear in here.
All right.
I mean,
I'm gonna touch the owlbear. Is it soft?
Let's see how this taxidermy stacks up.
So
Looking eyes. Any noticeable seams?
roll me an investigation check. Matashtai, to your just perusal, it seems well made, but it's not soft. It's kind of matted. You can see the fog kind of like clings to it and creates like a damp moisture that's set into the entirety of the creature. This thing looks very old and not taken care of. And it kind of stinks. It's not like putrid or anything like that, but it's got this kind of like wet dog smell going on to it. Ashes, it looks well put together, but again, very old. And you can see that there are portions of the seams basically are coming apart in different portions of the body. You think even if no one touches this, it's unlikely that it'll be standing for many more years.
All right.
Poor owlbear statue.
And all the while that I'm going to be in these buildings, I'm going to be looking for signs of like a battle.
Okay.
That maybe
the only signs of activity, it looks like someone came in and looted this place and just wrecked it. But but it doesn't seem recent. There's a thick layer of like, it's not actually like dust. There's kind of a layer of mold over almost everything. The fog does not seem to play very nice with most of the stuff here.
Fair
I'm
enough.
gonna attempt to open this door here.
Okay. Are you both opening doors?
No, we're not both opening doors.
Yeah, let's double door.
Double
That's
door.
dumb. I'm not doing that.
Door.
Let's double door.
Just double door,
Come on,
bro.
Just
Okay.
double door.
Just do it.
Matashtai
double door.
moves to open his door. Again, ignore the. I don't know why they do that. Do the whole like, let's do this on some of the doors. It's really annoying. But this door opens into a hallway.
Just double door.
Which,
I agree. Should
by the
double
way, okay, gotcha.
door.
So
It looks like
there's
it's a bathroom or something.
there's a hallway, and you see another of these light bulbs to the north, right over here in this corner, and then you can see there's a hall that goes north, east, and then there's a hall that goes southeast.
The light bulbs are not lit up, right?
No, they're not.
Switches? Is there a switch anywhere?
There's little chains that hang from them.
Oh.
I'll go over here and open this door too.
Okay. You throw that door open. And within you find a very small, moldy chamber. The walls of which, right, all of the walls are lined with empty hooks, like meat hooks.
Damn sick.
Are we sure it's not a coat room?
No, hook room.
All right, that's gross. I go back to the hallway.
Okay.
Wow. Exploring a dungeon at like a 45-degree difference.
It's
is
strange.
Weird.
It's weird. So you, Matashtai and Ashes begin to press forward into the halls. You come to The hall begins to slope southeast, and you immediately find 2 doorways.
Come on, let's double door.
Double door.
I'm ready.
Double door. All right. Matashtai first. Matashtai throws open the door and finds beyond, inside this small chamber, is a stone sink, toilet, and bathtub, all fitted with rusty iron fixtures. There is a bulb hanging on the wall, and that's it.
Man, I bet this place was real nice back in the.
Ashes.
We're living in.
Ashes, you throw yours open, and within you find a large room containing.
Oh God.
Containing 4 narrow wooden beds draped in moldy quilts and cobwebs. Next to each bed is a nightstand, atop which sits a bucket of unlit tapers. The whole room has this very kind of like eerie, almost kind of like haunted quality of being frozen in time, right? The floor underneath you is stone, and every time you there's some threadbare carpets here or there throughout this building. Not enough to cover all of the floor space, but like a throw rug here or there, right? But each one that you come across, like it's this kind of like every time you set foot, there's this kind of like clack, even in the softest footsteps. It's not like loud, but it's this echo that goes out through the space that seems like frozen in time.
Interesting. And aside from just seeming old, you just chop your cat in the head.
I do that all the time. He chops me, I chop him.
Right.
Seems like a healthy relationship.
I guess I'll just out of curiosity, I'll like check under the beds. Maybe if there's like a nightstand, check a drawer or something.
Okay. So you begin.
It's starting to feel a little weird.
Roll me an investigation check.
I find.
Just start yelling.
Everything.
He is
All
the
of the thing.
master of investigating.
You find nothing under the first, second, or third bed, but under the 4th bed, you actually find also nothing.
Sweet. I collect a nothing.
This room doesn't seem to have anything hidden, but as you kind of like take in your surroundings and you begin to process everything, it looks as if the pull of a blanket here, the positioning of a bed that's slightly misaligned there, it seems as if it's likely that someone has come through here previously and searched the whole place.
Maybe like 800 Dwargar.
But they moved things back, or at least mostly back into position. And now it just has this quality, this kind of like timeless, frozen quality.
Like it's just been abandoned.
Yep.
To the flow of time.
On this northeastern wall, right, that you guys are kind of walking past, you can actually see, again, the fog kind of seeps into this building, and you can see where it's kind of seeping through. There are vines that have kind of like are protruding just barely through the stone wall to the northeast. Like, there aren't any sections that are completely like removed or broken out or anything like that. But
like broke through.
Exactly.
Okay.
Matashtai Ashes, you come to a section that leads southwest, and then the hall continues southeast until you find eventually another door.
Okay.
Assuming everyone's just kind of like keeping up.
Attempt to open the door.
Okay. This door is not locked. Shifts open very easily. And within, you find another door.
Two more doors.
You find more than that, yes. This room is spacious, but kind of barren. The only remaining fixtures in the room are a wooden bed frame, no mattress, no quilt, nothing like that, just the wooden bed frame itself, and the glassy light fixture on the wall. There's a stone door to the west and to the south.
All right. Go through west.
Okay. You pull the western door open, and you see within a semi-familiar setup, right? A stone sink, toilet, tub, all of it polished stone, all of it with iron fixtures that have... these aren't... They don't seem completely rusted over. They're just a little patinaed.
Okay.
Gotta say, this is really weird seeing such a well-furnished house that was apparently just being upheld by a bunch of werebats. Like,
Why is that weird? Werebats don't get to live?
no.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
again,
the
specifically,
No.
you were told there's a difference between the cultists of Malar and the werebats.
Also, all the other wares that we've ever come across that have lived in a group, it's not usually been in such accommodating spaces.
Damn. All right, noted. Wares are not people.
You know, they live in the more urban areas.
Wild
Wow.
areas.
Good
Wow.
Lord.
Oh my goodness! All right, so
Honestly, good lord, dude.
next door.
Yes, next door.
You open up this other door, but it appears to just be an entry into this room. You find yourself, there's just a hall beyond.
Okay. I'm gonna real quick jog over back the other way and just see if it connects back. Okay. Yeah.
It does, and there are more doors. Well, a door.
Open.
I open this door.
He opens this door.
Ashes opens this door. I back him up.
Ashes opens this door.
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in too. There's
Um,
another
yeah,
door. Open that door.
We're fucking all in.
within this door, you find a...
No, we're in.
You find a spacious bedroom. Tattered rugs woven with the images of tigers battling scorpions cover the floor. The walls are painted with faded images of serpents. A wooden bed carved with serpentine motifs stands against the northeast wall, draped in dusty quilts and flanked by nightstands. Atop each nightstand are 9 half-melted wax candles. You can see, just peeking out from underneath the bed, is a large serpent tail.
So it's so it's like a menorah? 9 candles?
Oh, well, no, they're not like, they're all in a circle.
Oh, okay. Alright, gotcha.
Against the northwest wall stands a blood-stained wooden altar decorated with silver and bronze designs of claws, fangs, beaks, eyes. Piled around the altar are dozens of bleached white humanoid skulls. And then there's a door to the southeast.
Worried about what we're gonna find in this door? I open the door.
Okay. You open the door. Beyond, you find a large room with a big sink, a big toilet, a big bathtub, all crafted from polished green marble, no stone here, all with rusty iron fixtures. There is a wooden bench standing against the southwest wall with hooks above it that hold moldy old towels. There are vents beneath the bench and a large valve next to the bench itself.
Fancy. All right. Does anyone want to investigate this further, or should we head on?
I'm feeling like this is kind of a bust.
Doesn't seem like there's anything here.
Okay. I continue back to where we loop.
Okay.
Actually, it does not look like there's an exit back here. I see like a weird curvy
There's like
to
a-
it, but
Yeah,
Little
so
toolbox.
you find this corner of the building, and it seems the stone walls basically connect to stone cavern. And then there's just this, like, chunk of odd, slightly worked stone cavern here at the corner.
Where is everybody? Me and Mossy are not. I found us.
I found you. There you go. All right. Then I think I don't see any other doors to explore, so we probably head out.
Okay. Heading back the way you came to the lobby with the owlbear statue.
Back outside.
And back
I'm gonna
outside.
I'm gonna start just turning on lights. Let's see if it does anything.
You pull the nearest cord, and it kind of like
Wait, what?
flickers for a second, and then this kind of like very dull light radiates out and fills about a 20 30 foot space.
Who's been paying the bills?
All right, turn it off.
Still seems like it works though.
I do that for everything. If there's a switch, I flip it.
Okay, so Bones, you just start going back, and there you find one or two that don't work, right? But the vast majority of them work.
I'm sick of this shit. We're making something happen.
by randomly turning on the lights repeatedly.
On and off. Yeah.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Okay. Eventually, you make your way back to the northeast with everyone else at the start of the building. Or northwest, sorry.
All right, we head south.
Okay. Let's regroup everyone real quick.
Group me.
Group me, daddy.
You guys want to go left? You want to go right, or you want to go straight down?
So,
I would like to go all directions at once, please.
here's something that happens. As you begin to progress to the south, and you kind of come more into view of this alcove, this recess into the cavern wall itself, right? You see, you hear this kind of like, squeak, right? And you can see there are, in the middle of this cave, just kind of like directly in the middle, there's a crude weapon rack that's kind of like lashed together of stone and wood, and a couple of bones here or there. And it has very crude scimitars and short bows and quivers of arrows.
Now you're speaking my language.
And like again, you hear that squeak, and then there's this kind of like fluttering flap, and out of the darkness come multiple figures, right? Come several figures flying out into the night. These kind of like white, fluttering bat-like shapes. They fly up and out over your head and just screech into the darkness.
Send it?
Huh?
Vibrations?
Oh yeah, like a strong hum. Just the things that just flew away were without a doubt. And I mean, technically, they're flying over you, right? They are, without a doubt, wares.
Do I have an opportunity to
Murder.
The what?
Like the second I notice their wares,
Yeah.
I will tell her, hey, wait a minute.
So they're like 15, 20 feet up in the air, and you feel that hum, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, and they just
I should have just shot.
split away to the south.
I should have just branded one. Damn it.
I feel like you'll get another opportunity.
All right. So they went south, did you say, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Southeast.
All right. We
and you hear them I mean, it's weird, it's odd to hear them. They're releasing this kind of like high-pitched like squeak or screech out into the air as they fly.
Well, all right.
We follow them with haste.
say, should we take off after him?
Yep. All right. I want to take my light crossbow out, and I'm going to write a bolt on it.
Okay.
So I'm going to craft myself for 3, and I'm going to give that bolt. Let's do ice.
Okay. So you guys begin to move south or southeast? Are you going south this way or southeast this way? What's your plan?
Whichever way they went.
They flew over the buildings.
You roboted. What'd you say?
They flew over the buildings.
Like they're gone. They're gone.
Like they are not bound by puny feet.
That's true. I don't know why I thought they would be beholden to the same walls that we are.
But I mean, if you want to give chase, that's fine. I just need to know if you're going south or southeast.
Southeast.
Okay,
Southeast.
So you run southeast in between these two buildings, right? The one that you just explored and this new one to the south of you. All the while, you hear this screeching, and it gets louder. Begins to get louder and louder and louder. You hear this screeching kind of begin to echo back and forth across the ruins of this settlement. What do you guys do?
I go to the loudness.
Okay, so you just keep heading like southeast.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You guys would. I'm just gonna kind of like drag you to where you would make it as you're kind of like all traveling, and this does not have to be your exact positionings.
I love the symmetry.
But as you all kind of like push down this way, the buildings begin to kind of like crush together, and there's this slight alleyway. That screeching has gotten quite loud at this point. And is now coming from what you can kind of identify as further southeast.
Okay. Then I light crossbow up.
Okay.
Get up this wall. And
okay. You jump around the corner, and you don't see anything in the immediate vicinity. Right? These buildings that you're coming across now, they all have that same kind of like almost abbey or priory kind of like style to them. They all feel like they have this I don't know, this air of seclusion about them, right? But the buildings here to the south they're less reclaimed, right? They're not on the edge of the forest. They don't have vines growing into them. There are weeds and bundles of vegetation or things like that are growing in clumps around them. It's probably about at this time where you guys begin to see, or you begin to hear the flapping of wings in the air around you. Not like immediately around you, but in the air or in the cavern around. What do you do?
Prepare for battle.
Actively track the whereabouts, and I would like to use heightened sense to try to suss out the sound, really narrow in on their audio location.
Okay.
Are they aggressive? Are they passive? What does the shrieking tell the
That's actually
werehunter?
how that works. I'm not actually making a roll, so whatever. I'm going.
He go. You. Sorry, I'm using doing a multitude of different things at the same time.
That's why I'm not just blasting ahead.
Yeah. You're good. So you begin to see you can hear all around you. There are bats in the air all around you. Some of them are getting quite close, but it seems like they can get a decent beat on you because there's a light kind of radiating your position in the center of this settlement. And it seems like all the screeching, right, is happening on the periphery of your vision, right? On the edge, in the air, out of your line of sight, out of your ability to see them. What do you guys do in response to this situation?
What's happening? They're just sitting there taunting us?
I can't.
Have you tried talking to him?
I said,
Guys
hey,
haven't done
wait.
anything.
And they bolted. But I'll make sure I'll tell the party that they are absolutely wares. They're people.
I yell into the sky. We've come to speak with Mo Bear?
Mo Bear?
Fucking Sony M names.
The
Mobar.
The shrieking becomes louder and louder and louder. It starts to get deafening. It actually starts to get to the point to where it's hard to hear your own thoughts. And the flapping of the wings is starting to actually kind of whip up the wind around you. It's not when the dragon landed or took off or anything like that, but there's enough flapping in the air all around you that it's starting to send dust or pull air in particular ways here or there. You begin to see streaks of white just outside of your field of vision. Matashtai kind of cries out. There's this rustling, this swirling of wings and screeching, and all of a sudden, all around you on the edges of the roofs in the alley that you're in, you see, it's like they all just kind of dive out of the shadows, right? There are 20, 30 of these winged goblinoid looking figures, most of them a very pale white, with kind of brown, dark brown ridges of fur or hair, and they kind of stand almost all leering down at you. Some of them kind of slavering, honestly, right? And you hear this voice, I am Mobar, and you can see kind of stepping out from the middle of them on the building to the south of you, looking down at all of you, surrounded by these figures. You see this slightly larger goblinoid winged figure, and as he looks down at you, he kind of you see him kind of gestures around, right? And you see his his eyebrows specifically, you see there's this kind of like this little flare, this arc of blue electricity that shocks across his face momentarily. And there's this kind of like they don't say anything, but there's this as all of the werebats kind of like very slightly flutter their wings in kind of response to Mobar's, proclamation.
How far is Mobar from me?
He's 20 feet up in the air and 20 feet away from you or so.
Do you want to take the lead on this?
Yeah, sure. Mobar, we did not come to cause any trouble. Just looking for someone.
Supplicants come to Mobar! And as this is happening, right, you see these werebats have kind of like lined the buildings around you, right? But you still hear wings. You still hear screeches like off in the distance. So it does not seem as if these are the only ones.
Right. No, we're not here to supplicate, worship, whatever. We're just looking for somebody. Did another man come through here? White hair.
Does Borden have white hair?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's...
Borden has white hair. That's cool. What demeanor are you taking right now?
Like
how is Ash's acting when he talks to this
guy? I was kind of like, taking this seriously until he was like, "Oh, you basically come to worship me," and I'm just like, "All right, this guy's off his rocker." Look,
fair enough. Or response to the worshiping, understood. Okay. So this whole like kind of weird intimidation tactic continues, right? Like you see more of these werebats kind of down and kind of like come to stand on the edge of these buildings. The space around you, it's starting to get crowded, right? Like they're not encroaching down on the ground on you, right? But there's starting to get to be quite a lot of these guys about you. And this Mobar character looks down and says, but you are supplicating wrong. Those that come to Mobar come on their knees.
Well, get down on your knees.
Good luck. I believe in you.
I follow your lead.
I do.
I can't do it.
No?
Oh, Lord, he ain't gonna do it.
I can't do it.
Oh, Lord, he ain't gonna do it.
So, all right, I want to try this. So, right now, I'm going to cast Thaumaturgy to increase my volume of my voice. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to wait 6 seconds. I'm going to cast Thaumaturgy again to cause a small tremor. And then once the small tremor kicks in, I will then speak at the same time as the tremor, as to kind of like... And as soon as that happens, I'll say, "Where is he?"
You're going full Batman.
Where is he? Where's Rachel?
Oh my goodness. All right, roll an intimidation.
I feel like that should have been something I should have put points into. like a lot of points, like all the points.
That looked like that went well.
No, it didn't go well at all.
In response to your intimidation, this is gonna get fuckity. In response to your intimidation, the slightly larger, slightly electric-y Mobar, like gestures around and says, "We will have blood!" And I need everyone to select their tokens and roll for initiative.
Oh, Lord, we fighting some bats.
This is what happens when you come to real dice.
And I am going to need just a brief moment to kind of prep this whole scenario, because there's a lot of fucking bats here.
Is there a reason why I can't see anyone?
Because they're all on the buildings, and I need to actually put them into positions to where you guys can actually see them. This is going to get a little bit janky because, fighting
800 bouts.
Well, it's not. I'm not super worried about that. I'm more worried about the concept of like, if one of you wants to climb up on a building, how do I get you on the building without being in the building to see what? We'll figure it out. It's gonna be fun.
That does happen often.
But that being said, we're about to have a bat fight. We'll see how that goes in just a moment. We're gonna take a quick break, and we will see you all shortly. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.